happy with this thing other than clarifying that it's for the year 2011 ending December 31st. We discussed we are not going to, and by this resolution, approve overspending of the department heads. This was supposed to be a resolution that puts on paper the actual expenditures versus the originally approved budget as it was stated. And for sake of discussion, I believe that Section 2 needs to be scratched and reword Section 1 that basically shows we're not making adjustments. I was told that that was not going to happen in the budget system at the workshop. All this resolution is an accounting of 2011 budget line fund codes versus 2011 expenditures against those budget lines. We are not approving overspending. So however that needs to be worded before it would get my vote, that needs to be made perfectly clear in this resolution.
Mr. Weaver, why does it need to be a resolution if that's the intent?
If I understand Councilman's comment just now, there's no use in passing what you're talking about. It's already on paper. But I defer to the Finance Department if they have a different opinion. Is it not already recorded in the books? How much was spent? How much was taken in?
We have the budget. That shows. We don't have to do this at all.
Mr. Villa?
This is, by our vote, we approve. That's how we function as a council. We either deny or approve.
Mr. Pownall?
Well, apparently it's at the workshop. You know, it was discussed. Why bother if it's in the computer and it's not going to be changed? The point of putting it in the resolution was because that budget is not on the website for the public to see the spending practices of this city, where a resolution will be once it's approved. And that was the going in position, that we weren't approving a balanced budget. If that was the case, we'd have a lot more discussions that we'd have to have. It was supposed to be worded and numbered as such to show actuals versus budgeted, period. So the public would be aware of what is going on financially in the city.
Ms. Ballance?
Again, we have a budget. We have the City of Eureka Springs budget report as of December 31st, 2011. Year 2011, period 12. This document right here shows exactly what was appropriated and what was actually spent. If we're very careful and we read and we comprehend, we understand that this resolution is appropriating money. It's appropriating money after the fact for each and every item of expenditure. It is to amend the adopted budget. In other words, it's to say whatever happened here is okay. Okay across the board. This budget, if we pass this, the amounts for each expenditure classification in the amended budget are hereby approved. So if we pass this document, it says anything that happened right here is okay. And I don't think it is. And they are hereby authorized and appropriated for the purposes set forth for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2011. All I'm saying is the way this reads and what it says, if we pass this, we will have rubber stamped anything that happened here. We say, okay, you overspent by a whole bunch. Those funds are no longer available to take care of infrastructure. Anything else that we might have deemed appropriate. We say that, okay, the mayor unilaterally and arbitrarily spent the people's money however he wanted to, and we're saying it's okay. We don't care. And if that's the truth and that's the fact, what are we doing here? We're supposed to work as a group to spend the people's money.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Good God, why do people keep trying to shut me down?
Because I'm not trying to shut anybody down. I'm trying to get something accomplished here. She's straying off the subject once again, getting into the past. We have a motion before us on a resolution establishing whether or not we want to approve the allocations and the final budgets, the city council did not ever meet during the year to approve any mid-year budgets. It's our fault in total that we never did this. We never gave the mayor one authority or not authority. It's our fault that we didn't come back at mid-year because someone didn't want to approve some budgets. And we're doing that same thing, and we're being locked up and not getting anything accomplished. The money has been spent. We've got a balanced budget, contrary to what Mr. Pownall says, on a budget that we have not overspent our budget. And we're within the law. Now, whether or not we want to pass this or not, but I would like to call for the question.
Second.
Further discussion, Mr. Ballance?
With all due respect, when the
okay.
question's been called to
Okay.
second, we
all
should
right,
immediately
thank you.
have a
I was
vote.
going to give you a shot at it. Okay. Question is, would you reread the motion?
At this point, you need to take a vote on his
Calling the question.
calling the question.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
3-2.
2-3.
2-3. Oh, it's 2-4, yeah. 3 against.
So calling the question failed.
It did.
Correct.
So discussion
Back to
continues.
discussion.
Back to discussion. Ms. Ballance.
Let's see, where was
You
I?
only get 10 minutes on each individual item, Ms. Ballance.
When did that rule start?
It's in the book.
We've never followed it before.
Well, we've tried, but it didn't work.
Again, this document is rubber stamping this document. Again, if we're going to allow the mayor to spend money on whatever he wants without having it be a group effort, without saying, you know, gee, some of those funds that you spent on this or that, we could have put back toward infrastructure repair, which we desperately need. If we pass this document, it negates our presence here. We're supposed to work as a group to come together to decide what is best to spend the money, people's money on, to spend the taxpayers' money on. If the mayor's doing it arbitrarily and unilaterally, all by himself, and then we say it's okay, you spend that money however you want, don't put anything back for a rainy day, then what are we doing here? I refuse. I refuse to be a part of this, because this is a rubber stamp that says the mayor can spend our money, the taxpayers' money, however he wants to spend it. And I guarantee you there are probably things that we needed to spend some of this money on a lot more than what actually happened. Thank you.
Mr. DeVito.
Well, I mean, we've plowed this row so many times before, it's really a shame that we have to do it again tonight. Incrementally, some of the departments overspent. Things like gas going up over $1 a gallon for police and fire and things like that. Cumulatively, we're talking about $70,000, $80,000 in a over $3 million budget. That's 0.02%. Yeah, it'd be great if we were within our budget, but everybody out there in TV land understands how tough it is to stay in a budget, particularly in these years of recession. A lot of cities are having severe times even making a balanced budget. We've been very fortunate in this community that we have had balanced budgets year in, year out. I can't fault any department. I think we're lucky to have the quality of services that we have in this community. We have a lot of demands that are met by police, fire, streets, sewers. Contrary to what some of the numbers that have been thrown about, the lack of understanding of the budget and the fact that there's a $175,000 grant figured into that number of $240,000. I don't know where the number of $500,000, there's no backing by it. There's no accountability on the part of the accusations being made. I mean, what was it that was overspent? What item was overspent? Nickels add up to dollars, and before you know it, you've got $100 spent. So to say that the mayor was part and parcel to all of this, no. Each department has their needs. Each department has their spending. Yeah, it's been great, but that crystal ball doesn't work all the time, and to sit here now and project what our final spending is going to be a year from now, I'm sorry. It's a budget. It's a living document. It changes. Fact of the matter is, we didn't do a mid-year budget resolution. It's probably why some of the spending was unknown to us. We didn't take time to go to the finance director. We didn't take time to go to the department heads and ask them what those numbers were all about. We're just speculating wildly here. We're throwing out numbers with no backing for them in an effort to try and make the mayor and the department heads look bad.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I'll rescind that last statement, even though it's true.
Thank you.
So we need to move along. We need to get to either voting for this or voting it down, one way or the other. I don't really care right now at this point. Too many. No, I won't go there.
All right. Mr. Pownall, what's your point of order, sir?
Well, he backed off on it.
That's what
so
I thought.
I'd like to be
Thank you.
recognized.
Ms. Ballance, what was your point of order?
I was echoing my colleague.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. Pownall.
We had a budget workshop. God forbid that only 4 of us were there, 3 of us were there after about the first 15 minutes.
Beg your pardon.
Excuse me. I have the floor.
That's not accurate.
Mr. Pownall, would you state who was at the meeting?
What difference does it make?
Point of
Because I asked
order.
him, that's why. Go ahead.
The meeting was supposed to start at 10:30. It got started at 10:45. Mr. Berry was here, Mr. Parker, Raphael, Ms. Ballance, and myself. And within 15 minutes, previously announced, Mr. Berry had to leave.
I left after 25 minutes.
The point of it is, we discussed with the finance director the purpose and the way this resolution should be worded so that it could be publicly known what the actual versus the budgeted figures were very easily. Had we gone with the traditional rubber stamp resolution, that would have never been known, and yes, it would continually allow overspending, and state code says there shall be no deficit spending, of which we asked the finance director, is that at the state, city, department, or line item level, of which we are waiting an answer. And the verbiage is not, and I have to concur with Ms. Ballance, the way it's worded, yes, we're rubber stamping overspending by the departments, regardless of whether we had a mid-year budget review or not. There were attempts. We discussed the numbers. The numbers are accurate. And all we wanted to do was put on the resolution the originally approved budget revenues that was given to us by the previous council and how we ended up. Same way with the expenditures. The verbiage is what I believe that several of us have the problem with, that it needs to basically state that all this is a recompilation of the ending funding status, whatever the right CPA words would be, that shows here's the actuals, here's the budgeted, period.
Mr. DeVito.
I would move to
Or have a motion
Table
on the
the-
table.
mine's to table till the next meeting.
What was the previous motion?
I don't see a previous
I don't
motion.
recall a previous motion.
You should have a motion to approve it.
Approve.
I thought so.
Approve as is or amended? Approve
It's
as
read, I believe it was, but
We never voted. We just discussed.
it was for discussion. Okay.
The last motion I see was to assign a number on the 2-page resolution for discussion.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
there was a vote on that.
And that's what we were working on, the
we
premise
do
of.
not have a motion to table.
And I don't see any in between.
Is there a second on the motion to table?
Which was?
Excuse me?
Table the resolution.
Till the
Mr.
next
DeVito.
table till the next meeting.
Needs a second or it fails. All right. Motion failed. Still on the table. Discussion back is still open. I don't know what's left to discuss on it. You either adopt it or you don't.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
As is.
As is.
Made and seconded to approve as is. Now do we need a roll call?
That should probably be roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Raphael,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Pownall,
No.
Ms. Ballance,
No.
Mr. DeVito.
Yes.
3 yeses, 2 noes.
Motion adopted as is. Now we'll need to do the reading. Yeah, I'm voting yes.
We need to take a 10-minute recess.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I guess it goes no votes for 10 minutes. Council meeting will be back in session. We're currently in discussion of ordinance 598. Floor is back open.
No.
There was
I'm sorry.
a vote to approve.
Vote to approve. Yes, it was. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3. Yeah, like I said, get a little punchy here. All the accusations floating around and stuff. Number 3, open for discussion. Mr. Pownall.
Before we move on, I'd like to clarify council rules that the names, yeses and nos, be shown on the resolution that we just voted on.
It will be done.
Move to discuss item 3.
Second.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I would like to request that we get our city clerk to come up with a date in June that we can all meet for this.
Be happy to.
Any further discussion on it? All right. Give her a chance to get caught up here. Have you caught? Okay. Nothing else? We'll move on to the next one. Number 4,
Move to discuss.
Second.
water fluoridation opposition resolution. Go ahead.
Briefly, as we know, there's been legislation handed down from the state that says that certain water suppliers shall fluoridate their water. It also says that the funds for that shall not come from taxes or public monies. We know that the people of Eureka Springs have twice voted on having their water fluoridated, and twice they have voted against having their water fluoridated. The fluoride that's used commonly, although it's not so commonly anymore, people are really moving away from fluoridating their water, and part of that is because of the unknown content of the fluoride that's being added. There is no list of ingredients and so forth, so we don't know if there may indeed be other hazardous content besides the fluoride, which is known to have adverse effect on health. It's not recommended for babies. It's not recommended for people with certain osteo problems. Fluoride is not something that's needed to be taken internally. Generally speaking, it's topically applied to be effective. So since we know all these things, I'm very interested in writing a resolution in opposition to having Eureka Springs water supply fluoridated. I'm ready to have other people add to the discussion.
Anybody else? All right, last chance. If not,
Then I would move to...
Mr. Pownall, do you have your hand up, sir?
Go ahead.
I would move to direct the city attorney to draft a resolution including those whereases, like we voted it down a couple times. It's unknown content of the fluoride. Fluoride has actually been proven to have adverse effects on health. That's the direction I would like to take. That is my motion.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Weaver, you have a task amongst your others. Number 5, action for non-participating commissioners.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Second.
Floor is open. Yes.
I truly believe that this table needs to look at each of the commissioner definitions, code designations, whatever, and the overall municipal code that talks about taking commissioners off of commissions. Once someone makes the decision to participate in a commission, to me they have that duty to participate, notify when they can't be there, but not go a year and a half without attending meetings, and then being told by commission chairs that these commissioners will be talked to me isn't enough. We approve the commissioners. There's a certain responsibility that we have once that happens, and I don't believe that people should be allowed to stay on a commission just because they want that on their resume or whatever the case may be. We somehow need to look at verbiage in the code that covers non-participatory commissioners across the board. I realize that each commission can write their own rules and procedures, and as long as they're in accordance with municipal code and state code, that's fine. But I think we really need to look into the commissioner participation on the commissions that they meet. And there's a lot of these commissions that don't hardly meet, other than by code. Some of them only have to meet once a year. Some meet twice a month. I can understand people not being able to make every meeting, just like we can't make every meeting. However, whenever that position is held by that person and cannot be fulfilled by someone who is willing to participate, then I think there needs to be a way of taking action to get that person off the commission.
Mr. DeVito.
Don't we have the authority to remove commissioners?
It depends on the commission, and it depends on for what reason. Generally, it would come through the mayor, or in some instances, it comes through the committee chairman or the commission chairman.
Director, another question?
Yes.
Do we have the authority on all commissions to enact guidelines?
It's been a while since I looked at it, but no, I think there are certain commissions that the council would not have the authority to remove.
As written.
Excuse me?
As written, correct? Or total?
Certain of the commissions. You wouldn't be able to exert your will, I don't believe. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while since I've been asked to look at that. But I think, if memory serves, I believe the Parks Commission is independent, where you couldn't, and the Hospital Commission is. But I
CAPC.
CAPC maybe too.
Parks can be removed
They can be removed.
by 2/3.
That's what that is, Mr. Weaver.
Okay. Yeah, that's what this is. This is where it was looked at some time ago, I think.
Is that various commissions?
Yes. HDC, planning, cemetery are on here.
They can all be removed by the council with the exception of the CAPC
Let's see. So it says
or the mayor and then the approval of the council.
This appears that the HDC can remove their own commissioners by an affirmative vote.
Go ahead, Mr. Bean.
I would like to table this until we have clarity as to what our authority is. If we can only do it to one commission, we might want to rethink going at it with a one-size-fits-all approach. So I would make a motion that we table this till the next meeting so we could get further information as to our authority.
Second.
Motion made, seconded till next meeting, until the clarification is made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. All right. Next is digital electronic signs resolution. Beverly, please come up and address.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
I came because I didn't know what you had in front of you, but I see now that it's a resolution to extend your moratorium. So what you just keep doing for almost 2 years now is extending a moratorium. Back on May 25th, 2011, I sent you this, that we need two little words changed in the code. I sent you a ordinance that hadn't gone through the city attorney yet, but all it does is say that section 7.5205A is amended by adding the words, and this is under prohibited signs, digital or electronic. Now, before the Planning Commission can send anything to you from signs, we have to come into agreement at our table, post it in the paper, and have a public hearing about it, and then make the recommendation and send it to you. So we've spent, a couple of months. We've sent it to you. This was May 25th, 2011. We also did one for non-conforming signs on 7/27/11 that got postponed. It was number 1 in old business. I'm not sure exactly about why it got postponed. I was here again. But my understanding is that what you have in your code book is not correct for the sign section. That 2 ordinances were passed and not ever codified into your code book. And so the Planning Commission and this council adding things on top of that is just going to make it a bigger ball of mess. So Mr. Leswick and myself and Mr. Pownall did this exercise several months ago to put all those 2 new ordinances codified into the code book. And it's my understanding that Mr. Pownall was going to present that to this table and do some sort of administrative act where the code book could be corrected and we could go forward. And to my knowledge, that's not happened yet. But the Planning Commission has several issues that it would like to work on signs. The police department has banners, too many banners going across Spring Street because that's not clear. But we're stuck and we're stopped at planning on anything to do with signs because we can't get anything past this table. So I really need clarification from this table about what we're going to do, how we're going to fix it, and what I need to do to help you. Because I've done what I know to do, and I can't get anything passed. So.
Discussion? Mr. Pownall, you want to address any of that?
Well, it's my fault. I haven't had the time to finish typing because I've had other things that have come up, and I apologize to the Planning Commission. Mr. Leswig and I did work long and hard, and I know the Planning Commission worked long and hard. However, that sign ordinance has been in effect for several years, and I thought the understanding was that basically the Planning Commission, since we aren't enforcing ordinances anyway, was going to put off sending any more changes to the sign ordinance until we did get the administrative change done. And I didn't get a copy of the resolution for the digital electronic signs, which I know is just another extension. So, yes, the sign ordinance is in bad shape. It's almost done. If my family would quit dying on me, maybe I could be in town long enough to get some typing done. I would like to move forward with the resolution, which, like I said, I don't have. If it's just extending it, I make a motion that we assign a number and read it for discussion purposes.
Second.
Motion made second to assign a number and discuss, or just for the extension up? I want to be clear on the
Read for
motion.
discussion only.
Okay.
It can be a voice vote.
All in favor, say aye. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The resolution number is 599. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, declaring a moratorium on approval of any digital electronic signs and/or electronic signs as it pertains to Title VII signs of the Municipal Code. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in conjunction with the Planning Commission, is in the process of correcting administrative errors in Title VII signs. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Section 1, that a moratorium on the approval of any digital and/or electronic signs as it pertains to Title VII of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code is hereby declared to be effective upon the reading and passage of this resolution until blank. Section 2, the building official will be notified in writing by the Office of the Mayor, City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, if the cancellation of this moratorium occurs prior to the above referenced date.
Any discussion anymore? Mr. Berry?
I guess I thought we had already approved a resolution
We have
on the
it. It
moratorium.
runs out after a
May
certain period of
22nd.
time.
It expires.
Okay.
Let's dig a little deeper.
So we did that in November. So when we approved it was November, I guess.
They'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
Mr. Raphael?
Can't we just put it until this is ready? We already extended this, I don't know how many times. Can't we just put until it's time? Something like that.
I think you have to have a certain date.
You have to have a date.
I'll give you July 31st, and if I don't have it done by then, you can have the package I got along with my resignation from this table, since it's so damn important.
It's business. I need a date.
It's in there, July 31st.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was taken as, wasn't voted on.
Did he get a second on that?
We didn't.
Yeah, there needs to be a second before we.
A second. Wait, what
Back
are
up
we
to the
second?
Date,
All we were doing was just coming up with the fill date.
just the date.
So, okay.
Mr. Pownall offered up July 31st.
Question?
Yes, sir.
I don't have it before me. Did it say 6 months?
It just, the last one was approved in March to be extended till May 22nd. Since it's about to expire,
It's 90
right back to the
days.
table. Now we need to create a new.
Well, just as soon give us maybe 120 days or something like that. I mean, there's no need, no need to, in case something happens, let's.
You want to stick with the July 31st?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll vote on it.
I would prefer
Yes,
it
ma'am.
to be October 1st. Extended till October 1st, 2012.
We'll have to vote on the first one since it was a recommendation.
When's it expire?
We don't have a second? Okay.
When's it expire? May 30th? End of May?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Six months.
Okay. Is there a second to Mr. Pownall's motion, July 31st, 2012?
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
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 Okay. Motion fails or the date fails. The motion
I
doesn't.
make it 6 months from whatever the date is, from May 20.
Second.
6 months. Okay. 6 months. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Did you get a full vote on that?
Got it.
Okay. All right. 6 months from the date this goes into effect. Okay. Anything else in this one? If not, we'll move it. Yes, sir.
You got
Well, I would like to make a note that, for the record, the reason we're putting it 6 months, I think there have been extenuating circumstances that have caused us to extend the moratorium, and we haven't done it because of lack of due diligence. Just in case something does come up, we have, I think, a valid reason for it not to be enacted, and we're therefore extending it to 6 months to make sure we get it covered and get it enacted.
Now you've approved your date.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you need to actually approve the resolution.
Right.
She's got another question.
I didn't mean to be critical to not getting something done. I needed clarification about, I've said on this council before, and I've never heard of administrative action to get that cleaned up. I don't understand about that. I didn't know about that, and I'm only being told that by one person. I just wanted to make sure that the whole council and the city attorney was all in agreement, and I'll go back. I'm fine, but I don't know what administrative action by this table is.
Actually, we don't do administrative, we do legislative. So it's just nomenclature.
Mr. Puna?
I'd like to clarify that, and I think it's been addressed at this table before. If we do an ordinance that corrects the mistakes, basically, depending on how the verbiage is, the whole ordinance would have to be read. In talking with the Municipal League codifier, clerk, whatever she is, basically, all we have to do, and again, I understand it's one person's word, but she has told me many times in the discussions in trying to get this fixed, because we did not have the second ordinance even codified, and yet we were trying to enforce sign ordinances, that if we consider it as an administrative correction, it's not an administrative action, it's administrative correction by ordinance that basically says Title 7.52 or whatever it is for signs is hereby corrected in numbering, that there are no changes in the code. That's why we had requested that there not be any more pile-ups on requested changes to the ordinance until such time that got done. And That's basically why it was considered an administrative action. But basically, we can read a one-page ordinance that says 7.52 is hereby administratively corrected numbering-wise, and it can be put in the book. If there's other opinions on that other than what the Municipal League codifiers told me, I don't know of it.
Any further? Okay. So need a motion to approve with the 6 months addition.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So it is for 6 months.
Actually, that's a final approval. You probably should take a roll call.
Okay. You should take a roll call then.
Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
Yes.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, thank you. Number 7 deals with the resignation of Dr. Kirkpatrick and the council's decision on the new person.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Made and seconded. Mr. DeVito.
I would move to accept the resignation of
Point of order,
What's your point of order, sir?
or whatever the right words are. There's no requirement for accepting his resignation because by him moving out of the ward, he is automatically disqualified. We have no choice in whether or not. It's not the same as Miss Alexander's resignation. Plus, the agenda item was to discuss the replacement, not accepting the resignation.
All righty.
And if you want the reference, it's 1443-310. If any duly elected alderman shall cease to reside in the ward from which he was elected, that person shall be disqualified to hold the office, and a vacancy shall exist, which shall be filled as prescribed by law. And there's also a reference as there is. I won't get into it because we aren't talking resignations. So that apparently when he moved out of town on the 20th of April, according to his notice on the door, or the 3rd of May, that officially disqualified him from holding the seat. So there's no resignation action required by this table.
Yeah.
Councilor, good with that? Yes.
I'd like to ask the city attorney what the timeline is. I seem to remember that it was to occur at the next council meeting. If you could clarify the procedure on that.
That was the discussion with the last vacancy as to what that language meant. And the council, I believe, accepted at the last that it could be immediate. The procedure that is followed, from looking around the state, is that typically it's the vacancy is declared, which I think you're trying to do now, and then wait a meeting to give you the opportunity to interview potential candidates. But that's not the procedure that was followed last time. But that is the procedure that is viewed around the state.
I would like to quote for you from the handbook for Arkansas municipal officials, Chapter 1443-411, Alderman vacancy in mayor council form of government. A1A. Whenever a vacancy occurs in the office of alderman in the city of the first class, having a population of less than 20,000, according to the most recent federal decennial census, at the first regular meeting after the occurrence of the vacancy, and we just agreed the vacancy occurred on April 20th or May 3rd, whichever it was. So, at the first regular meeting after the occurrence of the vacancy, and it has occurred, City Council shall proceed to elect by a majority vote of the remaining members elected to the council and aldermen to serve for the expired term. So, actually, the vacancy occurred when he moved from town. The first meeting after the occurrence of the vacancy. So there is a vacancy. This is the first regular meeting. We should do it now. And as a matter of fact, if we follow the procedure that we established the last time this happened, this is the meeting in which it should happen.
I still think you should declare the vacancy, even though you're not voting to accept the resignation, before you do this.
How should we proceed with that?
The way it's been done when an alderman moved from one district before was a vote was taken that their presence was no longer within that district, and therefore the spot was vacant. And that was done a few years ago.
And so he was Ward 1, position 1. I move that we declare a vacancy exists for the seat of Ward 1, position 1.
Second. Made and seconded. Any further discussion with two hands up? Mr. Pownall?
I believe that should be amended to say May 3rd, because that's the date of the resignation.
Second.
Okay. Motion. Go ahead.
How can he have a date of resignation if he's moved out?
That's when he moved.
We're forced to act on the resignation when we don't have to, so we need to put a date with it.
Okay.
How about a date of vacancy?
May the 3rd.
It's it sounds like it's being made harder than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just vote. Motion to declare a vacancy, I believe, was the okay. And there was
As
a
of
second.
May 3rd.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Vacancy is declared. Next order of business is.
Excuse me, we're still on that item.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Okay. We had to declare the vacancy first. It's a two-part. Is that correct? This one, we put this thing on the agenda. It was to deal with the new position. Declare a position open, which was done. Now,
I would just like to express that now that we have declared a vacancy, that we ask the community, and especially it can only be Ward 1, for people in Ward 1 to step forward and render their nomination to council. I would like council to remember that even when we have a sitting commissioner like on the cemetery commission who reapplies for a position, we still wait 2 weeks on that. So I'm not sure what the rush is that we do it tonight. We can give 2 weeks.
So we can follow the law.
Well, we've declared a vacancy.
okay. Mr. Ballance.
I find it really poignant that was my exact argument the last time this occurred at this table with most of these same people. And you argue vehemently against it at that point. And so I just think it's very interesting that
And your point is?
that the law says we do it now. And established procedure says we do it now.
Mr. Raphael.
I'd like to nominate Karen Lindblad for the replacement position.
Second.
I would like to remind council that Ms. Lindblad is in an active lawsuit against the city of Eureka Springs. I feel it's inappropriate to appoint because we have other people who have put their names forward. I don't feel at this time it would be appropriate to appoint somebody who is suing the city. Ms. Lindblad's never been elected to office. She does not have the support of a voting majority in the city. There are other people who have been qualified, who have been voted into that office, who have offered to serve. We have a commissioner here who's got previous experience on council. I feel at this time that it would be more judicious on our part not to appoint somebody who is suing the city.
Any more discussion? Mr. Berry.
Well, I recognize the letter of the law. I'm uncomfortable with appointing someone just immediately without getting feedback from the rest of the community. I don't think that's quite appropriate. I know that the letter of law says we can establish and appoint somebody and elect someone. I'm uncomfortable with that without getting feedback from the public.
Mr. Pownall.
I would think from May the 3rd until May the 14th, I think there's been enough articles in the newspapers, discussions. We've had people come forward tonight. The only thing that I was going to propose is that all the names be put on the table so we aren't necessarily looking at anything that hints of any inappropriateness. So as far as I can see, we've had 3 people that apparently are aware of what's going on in this community, and I just recommend that we press forward. We can either nominate them all at one time, have the clerk put their names in a hat and draw them out and vote on them randomly, or we can vote as we follow Robert's Rules of Order. God forbid.
Mr. DeVito.
I'd like to echo Councilman Berry's opinion. As far as locally, if you ran down to the newspaper rack, you would have known that there was a resignation on Thursday. So we're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're about 3 days later. While some of us here are very in tune with what goes on in the city, I would make the statement that the vast majority of people probably don't know that there's a vacancy available on council. A lot of people are picking up the newspaper this week and finding out for the first time that there is a vacancy. So I feel at best people have only had a couple of days' notice.
Mr. Berry.
Well, you know, actually with the citation that Ms. Ballance read said that, you know, the first regular meeting after the occurrence of the vacancy. So if we just approved the vacancy, we really haven't had the meeting yet. So technically we needed to wait until next week or our next meeting, according to the letter of the law.
Ms. Ballance.
The vacancy occurred on May 3rd officially.
Officially, it just took place.
We just voted on it.
And again, the arguments that both of these gentlemen are putting forward are the exact same arguments I put forward roughly a year or a year and a half ago, and I was overridden by you.
Call for the question.
Second.
All right. Since I asked him first, before you call the question, would you give us an opinion what needs to be done?
I don't think in the municipal league last time this occurred said that they did not officially have a position on what that language exactly means.
Okay, so we're back to square one.
You're back to square one. They've got to interpret it, and I don't think there's a case out there that interprets that particular language.
Question's been called.
Yes, I know. All right. The question is to nominate Ms. Karen Lindblad for City Council position. No, Ward 1, number 1. Is that correct?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Okay.
Mr. Berry?
No.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
No.
3 yeses, 2 no.
Congratulations, Ms. Lindblad.
Next on the agenda
Congratulations.
is number 8.
Motion to discuss.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Floor is open, Mr. Pownall.
We had agreed last year to have meetings on the second, fourth Thursdays to avoid Monday holidays, because Monday holidays tend to be more prevalent than Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't believe that you can go back in any recent history and show where council rescheduled a meeting that was fell on a holiday. I think it just got canceled until the next meeting. In conversations via email, I expressed a concern because making that assumption, and that's where I made my first mistake. Apparently the only reason to even have this meeting is to take expedient action on the bond refund issue. So I make a motion that this be deemed a special meeting and that be the only item on the agenda for May 30th.
Second.
Well, the problem is with that is that we've already moved everything to the next meeting.
Next regular meeting, yes. There was never a date.
Okay. Mr. Weaver.
Might remind council you had an expression of concern about the water meters also being delayed. You've done 2 readings. That's why you did the second reading, you stated, for the record.
There's a motion.
Can I amend my motion, or do we have to vote on this one and
I don't think you got a second on it, did
Yes.
you? You did?
You can amend.
You got it.
I'll amend my motion to include the other issue that was of concern with the garden meters. I just don't feel,
It'll be a special meeting with 2
We could have 2 special meetings in a row.
You'd have to have 2 special meetings
I mean, we could have the one
if
and
you
then
follow the
adjourn and
procedure.
open the next one. So I would second Mr. Pownall's amendment.
Okay. Restate your amended motion, Mr. Pownall, so we can get it clear.
okay, so if I'm hearing it right, I make a motion that the bond issue be held as a special meeting followed by a special meeting to discuss the agenda item to be the garden meter ordinance.
Is everybody clear on the motion?
Is that what
Yes.
was said?
It would be best if you added a date to that, if you could at this point. Date and
Was
time.
already- Okay, May 30th at 6 o'clock is it was scheduled.
I understand you had one, but since you got one, it should be part of your motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Yes, it carried. Next on the agenda is agenda setting.
Move to discuss.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Raphael.
Yes, I'd like to put a discussion of the Climate Action Plan resolution on the next agenda.
At the next regular meeting? Yeah.
At the next regular meeting.
Second.
Somebody going to pick up the what is waving around over here? The issues he spoke of? What?
Yes.
You're going to go ahead.
It's Ballance.
I'd like to add to the agenda for the next regular meeting a discussion of a referendum for restructuring the CAPC tax. That's not exactly how I want to word it. Could you help me? What my point is, I'd like to talk about restructuring the CAPC tax and adding that to the ballot at the next general election.
You probably need to find out if you can even do that, because I'm not sure that you can do that. So you want to have a discussion on the potential ability to restructure the tax.
Yes.
But I really think you may find you can't do
Okay,
that.
well, we'll research it and try to find out, and I would welcome anybody's assistance on
Sure, yeah.
that. I'll look around and try to find out.
It's been expressed time and time and time.
This is not time for discussion. This is agenda setting. This is agenda setting,
You have
sir.
the floor. You have the floor,
Do I
sir.
have the floor?
Yes, sir, you do.
Okay.
Are we discussing?
I don't know what he's talking about yet. He's not saying.
I'm at
My side speaks.
point of order. Point of order. This
State
is
your point of
agenda
order.
setting. It's not time for discussion.
It's got to be hard, don't it?
You shut me down in discussion during agenda setting last meeting.
Okay, folks, give me a second here. I'm trying to figure out what's best for you. Okay, Lenny doesn't have a second on the issue at hand. Petition ability to restructure. You can get a second on that.
Second for agenda purposes.
A second to get on the agenda.
I thought it was already seconded.
Apparently not.
It is now.
She's keeping track of it.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Berry.
I'd like to put on the agenda the issue of the Planning Commission on recommended revisions to Appendix A, illegal non-conforming lodgings. And also,
Second.
I think he's got more.
we can do that one at a time.
Planning commission issues.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. Building permits as recommended by the Planning Commission for parking lots and demolition and construction zones.
Bring this one more.
And the recommendation of the Planning Commission to define weekly dwelling units.
Second.
That was 3 items, right?
Yes.
Any further? No further, we move on to council comments. Mr. Berry.
No comments. Well, I would like to thank the 3 people who applied for the city council vacancy and congratulate Ms. Lindblad for her nomination to the council.
Mr. DeVito.